YouTube. My internet is hot garbage at the moment, so given my poll I put on Twitter that I think only 2 people voted on, I decided to make a tier list video. This time around it is going to be Lord of the Rings games ranked. I'll be honest with you, I've only played a handful of Lord of the Rings games. I did not realize how many there were. Holy crap. Some of them go all the way back into the 80s. And there's actually one that hasn't come out yet. That's actually coming out soon. So, that in mind, I've got the wiki articles for most of them pulled up, for the ones I don't know about. I spent like an hour getting images together and doing a little bit of homework, so let's get into it, shall we? I've got these rankings going from highest quality, Mythic quality, second highest quality, Worthy of the White Council, games that I have not played but would play, games that I haven't played and are going to give a hard pass to, and games that are just plain hot garbage. Don't know why the colors are like that, but it's not supposed to be like that. That's better. Okay, now let's get started. Which one is first? Let's go with something we know. If I can find... ah, here it is. Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor. That, my friend, is a Mythic quality game. It's obviously one of the most iconic games. It's basically Skyrim plus Assassin's Creed plus Lord of the Rings. That's just the way I'm gonna put that. It's a good game. It does railroad you at times. The mechanics are pretty cool though. The Nemesis system is really cool. Really good game. I never did go back and play the extended content on that. I kind of wish I had. Alright. That one's out of the way. Let's see. Let's pick one out of the blue here. Ah, here it is. War in the North. I don't know if that should go in Mythic quality or Worthy of the White Council. It's a good... You know what, I am going to put that in Mythic quality. That's probably the first... Well, the first non-Lego Lord of the Rings game I played. I played them on the 360, I think. Did it come out on the 360? Let's see, it came out on the PS3, the 360, Windows. Wow, it even came out on Mac? That's surprising. It says here that it actually came out not even a little over a week before Skyrim. How about that? That's pretty cool. Let's see, North America came out November 1st, 2011. Europe, November 25th. Guess it didn't release Japan. Published by Warner Brothers Interactive for everything else, and for Feral Interactive for Mac. It's a good game. Switching characters can be a little wonky, but it was a pretty good game. Really good story. Loved the eagles in it. It's a fantastic game. Really was cool having a concurrent story. Speaking of concurrent stories, a very similar game is The Third Age. Third Age, one of the many Lord of the Rings games actually made by EA Games. Redwood Shores to be exact. Let's see, Third Age came out on GameCube, PlayStation 2, and the original Xbox in November of 2004. Yeah, that game was kind of weird because it was turn-based. Wasn't bad, the story was kind of interesting, but the turn-based thing was annoying. For me, it was more annoying. I actually had the GameCube version that I was playing through my Wii, and it had 2 discs, and I was just at the beginning of the second disc part, and that part always kicked my butt. I never could get past the Uruk-hai and Rohan, right after he talked to Gandalf the White. I'm gonna say that's a White Council level game. The graphics weren't the best, and the gameplay was a little wonky. Because it was so turn-based. It's kind of turn-based in a way, I guess, kind of like the older Final Fantasy games, if that makes any sense at all. Would it be Final Fantasy or Shin Megami Tensei? I don't know. So yeah, Worthy of the White Council there. I'm gonna make this bigger. There we go. Maybe now I can see. Alright, what's next here? Aragorn's Quest. How about that one? That one's kind of weird because I think I remember this game, the PS2 version, being a lot different than like the old 3D models. It was like 2D platforming almost. I'm not sure if it was the same game or not. But honestly, I'm gonna call that one hot garbage. It did not age well. It really, really did not. Let's see, back on Aragorn's Quest, it was made by TT Fusion Headstrong Games, published by Warner Brothers Interactive. Made for the Wii, the Nintendo DS, the PS2, the PS3, and PlayStation Portable. Came out in 2010, but the graphics on version I had, the PS2 version, just did not look good. The PS3 version looks completely different, though. I don't know. Oh yeah, this one was interesting to read about. The Hobbit from 2003. What was the article on that? The prelude to Lord of the Rings. Let's see, this thing was made by Sierra Entertainment, developed by Inevitable Entertainment, released on the Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Windows, PS2, and Xbox. Came out in 2003, obviously. Well, it came out on the Game Boy... Oh, hang on, what the hell? Oh, no, it released everywhere on the... in North America on the 11th of 2003. A lot of people describe it as a bad Legend of a Zelda clone. I guess of Skyward Sword type, I don't know. It's a 3D platforming game. I'm gonna put that in have not played, would not play. For sure. I'm tempted to put in hot garbage. I'll give benefit of the doubt since I've never played it. Oh, here's an old one. War in Middle Earth. That'll be this one right here. War in Middle Earth. 1988. Let's see. Came out on Windows DOS. Let's see, on DOS. Commodore 64. ZX Spectrum. Amstrad CPC. MSX. The Amiga. The Atari ST. And the Apple II GS. This is a 2D, looks like a side-scrolling strategy game. In post, I'm going to be sure to add pictures of some of this gameplay I'm seeing here. Let's see, in 1989, it was given a review of 3 out of 5 stars from an old computer gaming magazine. Interesting. I don't know if I'd give that one a chance or not. I'm sure if I were around at the time I would have played it, so maybe. Alright, let's see, where else are we at here? You know what, let's just get this one out of the way. Lord of the Rings Online. Pass. Pass on the Mines of Moria DLC. Artist Rohan DLC, pass. Rise of Isengard DLC, pass. Siege of Mirkwood, pass. Shadows of Angmar, I think that's the base game anyway, pass. That gets those out of the way. Personally, I can't get into these online versions of games. I couldn't get into Elder Scrolls Online. I'm not even gonna try Fallout 76. I'm surprised Lord of the Rings Online is still going, if it is still going. I'm not sure if it is. For sure Star Trek Online is still going. And Old Republic Online, I think, is actually still going. Star Wars: The Old Republic. Anyway, oh, here's a weird one. Elendor. It's based on Lord of the Rings, but it's not officially Lord of the Rings. It's an old text-based game. It doesn't even say Lord of the Rings in the title. Let's see. Wikipedia says, Elendor is a free online text-based multi-user game that simulates the environment of J.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth. You can create your own character, picking your species, gender, culture, description, history, and sometimes persona, and role-playing with other users within the setting and atmosphere. Huh. For purposes of consistency, Lord of the Rings, the game accepts LOTR, Hobbit, and Silmarillion, and to a lesser extent the other works of Tolkien as canon materials. That's cool. Let's see, it is platform independent. It's called Mush genre, whatever that means. Came out in 1991. Mush is a text-based online social medium to which multiple users are connected at the same time. Interesting. So a 1991 online Lord of the Rings game. Interesting. And it's all text-based as far as I can tell. I'm gonna give that one a pass. I mean, it sounds neat, but once again, it's basically proto Lord of the Rings Online. Still very cool. Specifically, it came out in the early 90s. Let's see. Lord of the Rings Orc Attack, or The Hobbit Battle for Middle-earth Orc Attack, I should say. It's apparently a mobile game. Is either a browser-based game or it's an app? Oh, here it is. The Hobbit Orc Attack is an online game created to coincide with the release of The Hobbit Battle of Five Armies 2014. That's literally all it says. I'm pretty sure it's actually a browser game. So yeah, this is a browser-based game. I probably wouldn't play it, to be honest. Shadows of Mordor, not to be confused with Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. This is actually game 2 of the first of, actually, 2 separate. Let's see, this game came out in 1987. It's a text adventure game for the Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, ZX Spectrum, Apple II, MS-DOS, and the old Macintosh. It is a sequel to Lord of the Rings Game 1. So yeah, there's Lord of the Rings Game 1, and this is technically Game 2. Apparently there was a sequel to it called The Crack of Doom, but I can't find anything on it either. Really not much to go on this. Game focuses on Frodo, Sam, and Smeagol as they head to Mordor to destroy the One Ring. Considered an improvement over the predecessor, but not as good as the 1982 Hobbit game, which I'll get to in a minute. Don't know. I probably would have given this one a chance. Where'd it go? Plus, the cover art looks pretty freaking cool, in my opinion. And speaking of shadows, we're gonna have to bring out Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. Or, not Shadow... I said Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of War. What I meant. Honestly, I haven't played Shadow of War yet. I never got around to it. It's on my PC. It's in my Steam library. I just never got around to playing it. Do I want... Should I? Would I? Yes. Now... I mentioned a while ago there was an older game called The Hobbit. That would be this one right here. It claims to be the first Lord of the Rings game. I believe it came out in 1982. Also, apparently I forgot a Lord of the Rings Online DLC. I'm not worried about it if y'all aren't. It's one of those things. Let's see, Shadow of War came out on Windows, PS4, and Xbox One back in 2017. I have waited 5 years and still not played this. think I did buy it on sale though. There you are. Let's see, The Hobbit, 1982. Made exclusively for the ZX Spectrum system. 48 kilobyte, by the way. Okay, I take it back, it's not exclusive. It was also made for the Amstrad CPC, which is an 8-bit computer. Apple II, the BBC Micro, the Commodore 64, the Dragon 64, IBM PC, Macintosh, Oric, MSX, and ZX Spectrum. Looks like it only ever got a PAL release, 1982. Considered interactive fiction, single player. Illustrated text adventure, based on the book. I guess it's not based at all on the Ralph Bakshi film. Developed by Beam Software. Used a subset of English called English, or English, Inglish. That's interesting. That was the parser they used. It seems pretty cool. Maybe this would have been the first game to come out. I think I would have given this a chance. It sounds like a pretty cool piece of retroware. Well, I bet there's a way to emulate some of this stuff too. Just gonna move that to the front of the list while I'm thinking about it. Yeah. The Lord of the Rings adventure card game. Let's see what this mess is. It'll be this one right here. It's got a Metacritic score of 75. Well, 75, 8.2 user score. Strategy turn-based card game, sounds kind of like Hearthstone, 2-player. Build a deck of iconic heroes and challenge the forces of Sauron in this thrilling tactical card game. Go forth and explore famous locations, complete story-driven quests, and forge your own legend of Middle-earth. Beware the Eye of Sauron. Should you draw his attention, all will be lost. Well, good reviews, but apparently glitchy. Not freemium type game. I don't know if I'd play that or not. I feel like it's a big game I'd play for like a week and then get rid of. Does not say what platform it's on. Oh wait, yes it does. It is on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Released in 2019. I honestly doubt I'd play this. Pass for you. Sorry, cool looking Gandalf. Let's see. Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth Defense. Pretty much how it sounds. Believe it's a strategy game. Looks like it's exclusive to iOS. Made by Glue Mobile. Don't know what year it came out. Can't really find much on it. It is definitely a strategy game. Don't have an iPhone. Pass. There are a lot of Lord of the Rings strategy games, apparently. Let's see. Speaking of strategy games, here's 3 in a row right here. The Battle for Middle-earth, Battle for Middle-earth 2, which I remember seeing commercials for, and Middle-earth 2, Rise of the Witch King expansion. I wouldn't play any of these. I actually think I had Battle for Middle-earth 2 on the PS2. It was either that or Lord of the Rings Conquest. Either way, I'm not gonna play any of those. Nope. 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 I'm just gonna go and throw Lord of the Rings Conquest in there too. Because why not? I know, I'm being pretty negative here. The Hobbit, Kingdoms of Middle-earth. This is something quite a bit newer. This is a mobile game. I believe it's a mobile strategy game. Let's see, multiplayer strategy mobile game developed by Kabam, involvement from Warner Brothers, free to play with in-app purchases. Yeah. So it's a freemium game. Released in October 2012, along with Hobbit Armies of the Third Age. That was a web browser game developed by the same company, according. It's more of a fast tactical combat MMO. No thanks. Armies of the Third Age is right here. You're getting passed. And you're getting passed. They'd had a lot of promotional stuff for the Hobbit movies, apparently. Let's see. Lord of the Rings, Legends of Middle-earth. Do I have that one in here? I don't see that one in here. I don't know if I ever found a picture of that one or not. Well, it was another app-based game released back in 2014, shut down in 2016. Huh. Couldn't play it if I wanted to anyway. Here's another one. This is Lord of the Rings Journey to Rivendell. This was actually made by Parker Brothers, the board game people, developed and published by them, for the Atari 2600 and Atari home computer. Oh wait, it was cancelled. Oh. Well dang. It was a platform type game. Huh. Video game scheduled to be released in the winter of 1983. Was set to publish it, advertised it in 82 and 83 catalogs. Advertised under the name Lord of the Rings instead of The Lord of the Rings 1. Or, well, in one case as Lord of the Rings 1. Supposed to get Frodo from the Shire to the Door of Moria. Changed to make him get to Rivendell instead. The game was never released, and it was believed that little to no work was done on the game's coding. Huh. In the weeks leading up to the release of the first live-action movie, a former employee gave a prototype of the game to the operator at Atari Age website. The game seemed to be complete and was quite complex. There's a couple of prototypes floating around, apparently, according to this article. Sure, it'd be a shame if somebody released that on an emulation website. You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess that would explain why I never found a cover image for it. At least I don't think I did. Oh yeah, I did find one that was fairly close. I would have played that if I had an Atari 2600. Come to think about it, PS2 can emulate Atari games, but to an extent. Riders of Rohan, J.R.R. Tolkien's. Not to be confused with the online expansion. 1991 based on the writing of the War of the Ring and Lord of the Rings novels. Takes place in the realm of Rohan. Centered on the conflict of Saruman and Isengard. Published by Konami and Mirrorsoft. Interesting. Developed by Beam Software. Very similar to War in Middle-earth, setting is downsized, entire world is just Land of Rohirrim. Mostly in Two Towers and partially Return of the King. That sounds pretty cool. Oh wow, it actually goes quite a bit. Into Fellowship, or Return of the King. A lot of NPCs too. Let's see, it was for MS-DOS, released in 1991. That actually sounds like a neat game. I would have played that. What's the next one on the list here? Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth. This is actually not a game, but it's on Steam. It's a companion app for Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth board game from Fantasy Flight Games, a fully cooperative board game for 1 to 5 players. I'm just gonna put that in hot garbage because I don't really know where else to put it. Even though it's got fairly positive reviews. Alright, let's see. Lord of the Rings, The White Council. Another unreleased game that was developed by EA Redwood Shores for the PS3, Xbox 360, and Windows. RPG single player and multiplayer. Game was put on indefinite hiatus February 2007. That sucks. Game was supposed to take place in a massive open world where you can do anything you want, based on the technology used by in The Sims 2. Story based on story quests. That actually doesn't sound terrible. 2007 PS3 360. I feel like I would have played that on the 360. I would have played that, I think. Alright. J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings Volume 1 from 1990. For the DOS, released for the Amiga in 91. Is this exclusively a Japanese game? Got some cool cover art though. Balrog. Role-playing game published by Interplay. Interplay, the same people who made the old Fallout games? That'd be cool. Let's see, also released for the PC 98 and 1992 for FM Towns. It was also originally designed for the Commodore 64, but the team switched to newer platforms. Designed by Troy A. Miles, Scott Burney, Janelle Jakai, and Bruce Schlickburn. Let's see. Opening cinematic, taking control of Frodo just outside Bag End, recruiting the Fellowship. Game was originally packaged with maps of the major dungeons. Most retailers did not put them in. Weird. That sounds pretty neat. That sounds like a decent... I mean, the cover art alone is pretty freaking cool, so I feel like I would play that. And the sequel game, also made by Interplay, for MS-DOS, PC98, and FM Towns, released in 1992, The Lord of the Rings Volume 2, The Two Towers. An Amiga version and a third sequel were cancelled. Similar to that of the first game, role-playing game, you control multiple characters, uses top-down perspective. Okay, so they did keep the top-down perspective just like in freaking Fallout. Yeah, the old Fallout 1 and 2. And probably Tactics. The ultimate goal was to reach Mount Doom and destroy the Run Ring. This is never accomplished in game, as the final scenes were intended for the cancelled Volume 3. A tragedy. Next one. Lord of the Rings Game 1. Released in North America as Fellowship of the Ring, a software adventure. Interesting. Made for the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Amstrad PCW, BBC Micro, Dragon 3264, Apple II, Macintosh, and DOS. Came out in 1984. It was a follow-up game to the 1982 The Hobbit, but did not reach the same level of critical success as its predecessor, generally considered inferior by the gaming community, with the removal of real-time aspects and complex A patterns from The Hobbit. That's right, this came out first, before Shadows of Mordor, and The Hobbit came out before both of them, so they're a trilogy. I guess that means I would have to put that one in here to make any sense at all. Guardians of Middle-earth. I believe this is another big strategy game. It's a MOBA. Or at least uses MOBA elements. Oh yeah, it's a MOBA. Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. Or incorporates standard elements. Strong emphasis on team coordination. Up to 10 players may split into 2 teams of 5 from a pool of 36 Guardians, including Gandalf, Sauron, and Radagast. Opponent to win matches by destroying the opposing team's base. Emphasizes home console rather than desktop gameplay in order to gain a cinematic experience. Let's see. Released on PS3 and 360 via the PS Network and Xbox Live Arcade. can also buy a retail package with a download voucher for the game as well as a season pass. No longer available on the PlayStation Network, and the servers are down as well. Also released on Windows back in 2013. Interesting. Not a big fan of MOBAs though. So that's getting past. Lego Lord of the Rings. Now let's talk about the Lego games. Lego Lord of the Rings. As good as the Lego Star Wars games were with the mumbling and all that, and Indiana Jones 2, Lego Lord of the Rings stands out way above them. I mean, hell, they actually used the dialogue from the movies. Something that apparently took whoever's making the new Skywalker Saga games freaking years to do. So yeah, definitely Mythra quality. Lego The Hobbit, on the other hand, well, it has much improved graphics. It did follow the movies really close. That being said, I'm really annoyed the fact that they never finished Lego Hobbit because it did not include any of the Battle of Five Armies content. None of it. That really annoyed the hell out of me. So, overall the game was okay. I'm just gonna put that one in where the White Council behind Lord of the Rings Tactics. Not to be confused with Fallout Tactics. It's a tactical role-playing game for the Sony PSP. Remember the PSP? Claims to be a direct adaptation of Peter Jackson's films and has characters that resemble the film's depiction of them. Published by Electronic Arts, the game was released on the PlayStation Store in 2009. Takes place on a grid, the characters move at the same time rather than manipulating each entity individually. Okay. It's one of those multiple character controller games. Yeah, that's a pass for me. Lord of the Rings, The War of the Ring. Let's see. 2003 real-time strategy game developed by Liquid Entertainment and by Sierra Entertainment, who made that other game. Expands upon the events of The War of the Ring and is told in the novel, The Lord of the Rings. It is unrelated to the Peter Jackson films and is licensed by Tolkien Enterprises as opposed to the movies. Huh. And the other movie-based games. I don't get that. The Tolkien estate is so weird. Let's see. According to Wikipedia, the gameplay is much like Warcraft 3 with added features, some previously used in Battle Realms. The game also follows certain RTS conventions such as having rally points and controlling unit creation and purchase of upgrades. Designated buildings. Has a good and evil campaign in which one fights for the War of the Ring and opposing sides. There's a multiplayer mode. You know what? I think this is a PSP only game. I didn't have this. Gameplay looks very similar to the other game I had. Why are there so many RTS games? I'm gonna pass on that. Alright, let's go over the... You know what? Let's go over the PS2 games, which we're coming down to the wire anyway. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Came out in 2002 for the Xbox, the Advance, Game Boy, PS2, and the Windows. Developers, WXP for Xbox, Pocket Studios for Game Boy, and Surreal Software for PS2 and PC, published by Black Label Games, directed by Alan Patmore, produced by Nick Radovich, designed by Ton Klinschmidt, programmed by Tim Epling, yada yada yada. Right, on the Riot Engine. It's a third-person perspective action-adventure game. Okay, so this game was published by Vivendi. The game was released a year after the first movie and several weeks prior to Two Towers, but it has no it's based on the books, not the movies. Because the publisher had a deal with it. Apparently EA had a deal with New Line Cinema. Guess that explains that. I mean, it looks pretty neat, even if it is based strictly on the books. I'd give it a whirl. Alright, on to the EA games. Also published in 2002 was Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Developed by Stormfront Studios, published by EA. Came out October 21st. Came out on the PS2, Xbox, and there's a 2D Game Boy Advance version of the same name, ported to the GameCube and a mobile. Also a Windows version. Okay, so Two Towers, this game is actually adapted from both Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers movies. I guess that was to make up for not having a Fellowship game themselves. Huh, that's interesting. As it is not an adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Two Towers, the second volume in his Lord of the Rings novel, anything from the novel not specifically mentioned or depicted in the films could not be represented in the game, because of the whole Vivendi Universal having the partnership with Tolkien Enterprises. Screw Tolkien Enterprises, man. They really just need to hug and kiss with New Line Cinema. Anyway. Yeah, I definitely would play that. As long as it's better than Aragorn's Quest. Let's see, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Also the EA game. The game is similar to predecessor in basic gameplay, differs by adding multiple storylines, more playable characters, and increased interaction with environments. Two-player co-op mode is available for some missions. Was developed in close collaboration with filmmakers, using many of the actual reference photos, etc., etc. Came out on the Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Windows, PS2, and Xbox in 2003. And came to Mac in 2004. It's hard to believe those games came out so long, or those movies came out so long ago. They hold up though. Definitely would play. And we're down to our last two. This one's actually just a cover photo. I don't know what's there. So, we get The Hobbit, Fight for Middle-earth, which I believe is a strategy-based game, or browser-based game. Won't play. And actually, the last one is a game that hasn't even come out yet, that's on Steam. Listed on Steam. The Lord of the Rings Gollum. By Daedalic Entertainment, Nacon. Let's see, Lord of the Rings Gollum is a story-driven action-adventure. Take on a perilous journey as Gollum, chasing the only thing that is precious to him. Gollum, skillful and cunning, but also torn by a split personality. One mind, two egos, you decide. I'm not sure if this is based more on the movie Gollum or on the story Gollum, though, because his appearance doesn't really match. It's similar, but like the face is way different than he is in the movies. It's not as creepy, I'll give it that. The game's on my wish list, that's for sure. It looks pretty neat. While being vital to the story of J.R.R. Tolkien, many parts of Gollum's quest have not been told in detail yet. In The Lord of the Rings Gollum, you get to experience a story from his time as a slave below the Dark Tower to his stay with the elves in Mirkwood. So this is going to be based more on the books, or at least on parts of the books that aren't explicitly mentioned. Especially not the movies, because I remember reading that. Let's see, game's still in development, mature content description will be updated. System requirements have not been announced yet. Looks like you get to choose between one ego's options and another's, while sneaking around Mordor. Definitely want to play. Just gonna bump that up here. And there we have it. Lord of the Rings games ranked. If I missed any, please let me know. That's all I could find, thanks to the old Google. Be sure to subscribe and follow my Twitter. I might be doing another poll, see what games I'm thinking about doing next. On a tier list, I might do Ace Combat, and I might do Star Wars next. I'm out of here.